Hello everyone, welcome back. So Natlan is about to drop, and with it comes a lot of buffs and updates for Aloy mains, which of course will make it a lot easier for Aloy mains to actually build Aloy and her teams. And you may recall that I did a video on this last year for Fontaine. This is basically going to be the Natlan edition. Instead of one obscenely long video, I decided I'm going to split it into 3 easier to digest videos. So this first one will of course be discussing specifically the new weapons and characters that are coming in 5.0. The next one will be discussing the new artifacts and the updated strongbox, so it's all about artifacts. And then the final one will of course be about the upcoming 5-star standard selector, as well as potentially some predictions on upcoming characters that we kind of know little to nothing about. So we'll just have to see what happens there. So without further ado, let's get into it. So, as I mentioned, this video is all about weapons and characters. Natlan introduces a new craftable bow for Aloy, and this bow is called Chainbreaker. Now keep in mind, it's craftable, so it is of course a 4-star bow that you can just build using billets. It's a high base attack weapon with an attack percent and EM buff, and it's actually based on how many different element types or Natlan characters you have in your party. Now, this bow is most likely going to be particularly good for a craftable 4-star bow in Melt Aloy and Burn Aloy teams. And why is that? It's because Melt Aloy and Burn Aloy teams typically have Aloy and then 3 characters that are usually not cryo. As a general rule, you don't want to bring cryo characters into your Melt team aside from the cryo DPS, and that's where Melt and Burn Aloy work. And so because the other 3 characters are not cryo, you'll be able to get the full attack and EM boost, which is actually kind of wild because at R5, it's 28.8% attack and 144 EM. That's pretty nice for a Melt team, so gotta love that. For those who do prefer to play freeze teams, this weapon is probably not going to be as impactful in the long run. First off, because Aloy doesn't really need EM in freeze teams, number one. But then also in teams like Hyper Fridge, Hyper French Aloy, Aloy is not triggering seeds, so the EM is not useful there either. So ultimately, it's more seemingly for the Melt and Burn teams at the very least. Of course, because it is a craftable 4-star weapon, and because I have a lot of 5-star bows, and I'll mainly be focusing on 5-star bow testing for Aloy if a DPS 5-star bow shows up, I of course will be skipping it. But for those who are in need of a solid free-to-play option, especially for those in Melt teams, I think this one might be something worth checking out. Hey guys, this is Kate the Editor. I should also mention the new Footprint of the Rainbow polearm, which is also going to be a new craftable polearm coming in 5.0. This is a polearm that of course sports a lot of defense, especially if you use a skill. Now, who's a character that uses their skill as part of their kit and is also defense scaling and can be very, very useful in Aloy teams? That's right, we're talking about Yunjin. Footprint of the Rainbow is potentially going to be a really solid option for anyone who is trying to play any Aloy team involving Yunjin, because what this does is it gives Yunjin a lot of defense. At R5, it totals out to around about, 87% defense, thereabouts. So that's really good. What that means is that you could potentially use, let's say, an ER stand instead of a defense stand, and you will actually end up with more stats overall than if you were to stick to the usual prototype Crescent plus defense stand combo that Yunjin tends to have at the present moment. So the Footprint of the Rainbow polearm, especially if you R5 it, is going to be a really solid option as a brand new way of playing Yunjin-based Aloy teams. There's only one new bow coming for Aloy this round, so yeah, the weapon section is actually quite straightforward. So let's swap over now to the new characters that are coming in 5.0. We have 3 new characters in the form of Mualani, Kinich, and Kachina. And Mualani, first off, let's just get her out of the way. She's an on-fielder and not likely to synergize with Aloy because she's an on-fielder. Kinich, on the other hand, can be very interesting because he's a Dendro character. He has a unique ult in the sense that he summons his dragon. If anyone's played Warframe before, you may know Chroma. Same ult. Because of that, and because his ult sticks around after he leaves the field as well, that could essentially mean that you can play full ER Kinich and have a way of applying Dendro that would work in Burn Aloy teams, for example. So we could see some use out of that. Quick bit of detail for Kinich. There is a 70 cost ult. That's his ult. But then his ult also sticks around for 15 seconds on an 18-second cooldown. So if you're able to make it work and if you're able to get enough energy to constantly use Kinich's ult, probably something to consider. So there we go. And finally we have Kachina. Now Kachina is a free Geo 4-star character who is coming as soon as you do the Natlan Archon quest. I believe she comes rather early. I would think she comes rather early. If, dare I say, as soon as you meet her is when you will get her. So you don't necessarily need to wish for her as well. Now, when you look at Kachina's kit, ostensibly it doesn't seem to be innately all that useful in terms of buffing Aloy. But in the next video, because Kachina does have access to the Night Soul Blessing, and because she is a Geo character and therefore can actually react with Cryo, as opposed to Kinich, who can't react with Cryo because he's Dendro. In the next video, I will discuss how Kachina can be very, very useful potentially in, at the very least, freeze teams, with the possibility of even melt teams as well. We'll just have to see. But yeah, overall, when it comes to the weapons, there's one weapon that can be kind of nice, but it is a craftable 4-star weapon, so it kind of is what it is. If you already have something that's, generally speaking, better, because you wished for it or because it's a 5-star, then yeah, you'll probably want to stick to that. But with the newer characters, they're not necessarily going to be Aloy's best in slot teams, but they can still be kind of interesting additions to Aloy's team roster. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. Of course, the next video we will be talking about artifacts, nothing but artifacts, so get ready for that. Of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And until next time being the next video, I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Something for ya.
You, Blake, you're up!
You ain't messing. Let's get it on! Dance! The hunt is on! Embrace your searing reckoning! This'll pack a punch.
Stay put!
Wind strike! Come, put up a fight! Who dares? Call me a witch!
You, Blake, you're up!
The wind knows me.
Don't be scared!
I got this. Got something for ya.
You, Blake!
Not every wound will heal. Come on! Come, put up a fight. This is a new one. Ever seen one of these?
Don't be scared!